father Adam lived. We thank him for blessing us with the message of Islam. And we thank him for giving us the privilege of being followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's a privilege that we should all appreciate. He has blessed us with the Quran. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us that he has left in our midst two things that if we follow and if we adhere to, we shall never lose guidance. These two things are the Quran and the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in Surah Al-Imran, Allah tells us, وَمَا مُحَمَّدٌ إِلَّا رَسُولٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ مِنْ قَبْلِهِ الرُّسُلُ أَفَإِن مَّاتَ أَوْ قُتِلَ انقَلَبْتُمْ عَلَى أَعْقَابِكُمْ وَمَن يَنقَلِبْ عَلَى عَقِبَيْهِ فَلَن يَضُرَّ اللَّهَ شَيْئًا وَسَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ كِتَابًا مُؤَجَّلًا ومن يرد ثواب الدنيا نؤته منها ومن يرد ثواب الآخرة نؤته منها وسنجزي الشاكرين. Two ayahs in Surah Al-Imran, ayah 144 and 145. I thought maybe we reflect on it as we welcome the new Hijri year. It starts in a day or two, and I believe it's on Sunday first, the first of Muharram. In the 60s, I read a book, and what's important is the preface of that book. The author wrote 2 paragraphs comparing man to mice. And what he said, which I thought was wise, is that men are different from mice because we read our history, we learn from it, and we alter our behavior so that we do not fall into the same trap like the mice. But what I've seen over the past 70 years is that man needs to be reminded, and we keep forgetting our past. And I thought, with this occasion of the Hijrah, we reflect on the Hijrah, what lessons one may learn from it. And I thought discussing these 2 ayahs may enlighten us and give us some guidance. The 2 ayahs were revealed after the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud was the second battle that the Muslims had against the Qurayshis. The initial phase of the battle was indeed one step away from total victory, until a mistake happened when some of the Muslims disobeyed the orders of the Prophet, and as they saw the defeated mushriks running away, they came running for the loot. And that gave Khalid ibn al-Walid, before he was a Muslim, the chance to come from behind the Muslims and turn the victory into a loss. At that battle, the Prophet ﷺ was injured. And one of the mushriks who was fighting with another Muslim, who he thought was Muhammad ﷺ, he killed him. And he cried out loud that he killed Muhammad. And the shaitan, according to the narrations, cried even louder that Muhammad ﷺ was killed. Devastation happened among the Muslims. Many of them retreated to the top of the mountain. Others realized that the Prophet ﷺ was alive and they came to protect him. Finally, Muhammad ﷺ takes away up to the mountain and he makes a famous dua to support and encourage the Muslims. He said, Allahumma laka alhamdu kullu. Allahumma la qabida lima basat, wa la basita lima qabadt, wa la hadiya lima adlalt, wa la mudilla liman hadayt. The ayahs, let me go back to the ayahs so that we can all get the benefit. Muhammad is nothing but a prophet who was preceded by other prophets. Allah tells us here, if he dies or if he gets killed, you reverse back and you become Jahiliyyah. And he who does reverse will hurt no one but himself. And then I want you to think at the end of the ayah, وَسَيَجِزِ اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ. Allah shall reward those who show gratitude and gratefulness. The ayah talks about the death of a prophet, the death of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the tail end of the ayah says, وَسَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ. Allah shall reward those who show gratitude. And I want you to think, what gratitude is this one? What is the benefit of the death of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Why should the Muslims be happy and grateful that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was killed? We need to reflect on that, and we need to see how that is important for us. The next ayah, وَمَا كَانَ لِنَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. No soul, no person will die without the permission and the order of Allah. كِتَابًا مُؤَجَّلًا. It is predetermined. وَمَن يُرِدْ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا. He who wants the benefits of this life, نُؤْتِهِ مِنْهَا. We will give him plenty of it. And he who wants the benefit of the hereafter, we will give him from it. وَسَنَجْزِي الشَّاكِرِينَ. And we shall reward those who show gratitude and gratefulness. The two ayahs end up with سَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ وَسَنَجْزِي الشَّاكِرِينَ. What happened there and why these ayahs were revealed? And what benefit will come from it? And this is, if we have the time, I wanted to see how that would relate with the Hijrah and what we can learn from it. The Muslims disobeyed the Prophet. That disobedience caused a disaster, caused the battle that was one step away from total victory into a loss. A battle where 75 of the Sahaba were killed. When from the Mushriks, 35 were killed. Compare it to Badr, which was a year before Uhud, when 70 of the Mushriks were killed and 14 of the Muslims were Gustushio. And then the wisdom comes in from the third man. Why should we show gratitude with that loss? Why should we show gratitude with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam being killed? Let me expand on it. And I may be wrong in my assessment, but I believe there are lessons for us to learn from. Most of the scholars, when they translate the meanings of the Quran, whether it's Ibn Kathir or Zamakhshari or Razi, or all of them. They would say that the benefit here is that if the Prophet has died, he has delivered us the message, and we should be grateful for Allah for giving us that message. Whether Muhammad whether he died or whether he was killed, we should not reverse back, because that's a loss for us. He delivered the message for us, like all the other prophets, and what we should do is hold on to that message, and that will be the success for us. And we should be grateful for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us that message through Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the translation that you find in most of the translations of the Quran. I believe there is a more important message. The Hijrah was supposed to be a milestone, and it is a milestone. Before that, the Muslims were persecuted in Mecca. Yes, indeed, it's good. But is it the end of the trouble? Not at all. Not at all. Before the Hijrah, the persecution was maybe limited, because most of the Muslims, they had tribes that would support them. So the damage to them was limited. And those who did not have the support are the ones who paid the hardest price. But in Medina, the threat was much bigger. The threat was elimination. The threat was dealing with the hypocrites who were not present in Mecca. You have people who act like Muslims, but they are not Muslims. And you have the tribes of the other, the Jews and the Christians. The troubles are different, and the threat of Quraysh became more generalized. First battle, when Quraysh came to Badr, they wanted to teach the Muslims and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam a lesson. When they obeyed the orders of the Prophet, it was a big victory, a turning point indeed. The second battle comes in a year later. First battle, Badr, was in the second Hijri year, in Ramadan. And the second battle, Uhud, was in the third Hijri year, in Shawwal. The number of the mushriks in Badr were about 1,000. The number of the Muslims were about 300. So you have about a ratio of 1 to 3. In Uhud, the ratio was the same. The ratio was 3,000 of the mushriks and about 1,000 of the Muslims. That 1,000 was reduced to 700 because Abdullah ibn Ubay ibn Salul pulled his 300 men. He's one of the munafiqeens. And that should have broke the Muslims at that moment. The last minute he withdraws away and leaves them with 300 men less, facing 3,000. But the ratio again was 1 to 3, just like in Badr, 1 to 3. The initial phase, when the Muslims obeyed the Prophet, was a step away from a total victory. The third battle, which happened 2 years later, in the 5th Hijri year, where the mushriks came up with 10,000 men, and they had the tribes of people who were living in Mecca, who in Medina, who were hypocrites, or the Jewish tribes that betrayed the deal that they had with the Prophet. I want you to think of why وَسَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ. If the Muslims did not learn a lesson in Uhud, where the army they were facing was 1,000 men. How much devastation can 1,000 men inflict on Medina? It would have been significant, but it would be limited. In the Battle of Trench, Ahzab, there were 10,000 men who came to destroy the Medina. The devastation would have been much more. So although the Muslims lost in Uhud, Allah says, وَسَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ, because that has avoided bigger disaster if it wasn't for the lesson that they have learned in Uhud. The devastation of 10,000 men attacking the Medina, in addition to the troops from inside, would have been severely devastating and would have finished the Muslim Ummah in Medina before it grew any further. I think, and I may be wrong, that the reason why وَسَيَجْزِي اللَّهُ الشَّاكِرِينَ here, one of the reasons, is the fact that it was a lesson for the Muslims to learn so that they can avoid a bigger problem in the future. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the wisdom to learn from the Quran and to pay attention to its ayahs. Barakallah. Alhamdulillah. All praise is due to Allah. I want you to pay attention to two ayahs. One in Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 216, and one in Surah Al-Nur, ayah 11. Both ayahs talk about what you like and what you dislike, whether it's good for you or bad. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم إن الذين جاءوا بالإفك عصبة منكم لا تحسبوه شر لكم بل هو خير لكم. So what lesson do we learn from here? What lesson do we learn from Uhud? What lesson do we learn from these ayahs? What lesson do we learn from the Hijrah? The lesson that I would learn from the Hijrah is that there is no rest. فَإِذَا فَرَغْتَ فَانْصَبْ وَإِلَى رَبِّكَ فَارْغَبْ. There is no rest. يَا أَيُّهَا الْإِنسَانُ إِنَّكَ كَادِحٌ بِكَ كَدْحًا. There is no rest. Rest is after we die. Rest is in the grave. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين